In this lesson, we are going to be talking about inverse trig functions. This is the first part of two. We are going to be evaluating. We're trying to find the exact value of these inverse functions. Main thing you have to know is when you're doing an inverse or an arc sine or inverse sine or any of these, you're kind of restricted with the result, kind of a range of values that you have to kind of go through or follow. So sines and tangents are the same. The answers that you're going to get out of any of the arcs or the inverses, which are essentially the same, is going to be based on from a negative pi over 2 to pi over 2. So like a negative 90 to positive 90. These are the only answers that you're going to get. If you put it in a calculator, same thing. So tangent are kind of, here's the visual that helps me figure this out and remember it. And then cosine's kind of a setting sun, but it's going to range from 0 to pi. And that's the biggest thing that you just have to remember. Now most of these are set up for non-calculator, so you're going to be pulling answers from these special triangles. And just to refresh your memory of what quadrants, you got positives and negatives. You won't be involving this quadrant at all. So inverse sine of 0, you're looking for kind of an inverse sine is you're looking for what angle would have given you that result. So sine of what angle gives you a 0. So sine is a y value, and so this is your range. So sine having a y value of 0 would be right there. So it would be 0 radians or 0 degrees. Inverse cosine, negative 1. So you're looking at cosine. So cosine of what angle would get out a negative 1? And cosine is an x value, so you'd be at pi. Arctangent, negative 1. So tangent is positive in these two quadrants, negative in these two quadrants. So you're looking at the fourth quadrant because we're not going to involve the second quadrant at all for the arctan. So we're down here. And so that gives us the negative. The 1 is going to come from a 45-degree angle because it's opposite over adjacent. And so the degree measurement is 45. But it's a negative 45 because we're heading kind of in this direction of a 45. So the radian version of that is pi over 4, but it's going to be a negative pi over 4 because of the direction that we're heading. And then root 2 over 2 comes from actually if you were to unrationalize that, it would have been a 1 over root 2 before you rationalize it to get a root 2 over 2. So what triangle is going to get you a opposite over hypotenuse? So it's the 45 is going to get you an opposite over hypotenuse. So you're looking at a pi over 4, and it's positive, so it just stays in the first quadrant. All right, so that's the first 4. We'll do 4 others that really aren't any more challenging, just a couple more examples just to make sure that you're good.